One of the reasons I like my job is because I like meeting and working with interesting groups of leaders. And one of the more interesting groups, not that you're not interesting, but one of the more interesting groups of people I worked with was a group of mid-level managers that worked for a mining operation. And they had a fascinating challenge as leaders and as managers in that every 30, 40 days, they were leading a brand new team. So their structure would be that they'd have 30 people that would show up in northern Canada, and then they'd all go down into the mine and spend 30 days down there doing their thing out in the bush, and they'd come up and, you know, they had a little camp there. It wasn't in a town. And then they'd work hard for 30 days, and then everyone would go away for 2 or 3 weeks. And then the leaders would come back, and maybe some of the people from one group were back, but there'd be a whole other group of people too. So for every 30, 40 days, they were learning to lead a new group of people. Imagine that challenge. They're continually in that forming stage. We were working through this exact material, leadership material, and one of the managers got excited and said, "Oh, this is great stuff, Randy. But you know what? I wish our senior leadership was here. They need to be here as well. But you know what your problem is, Randy? You're not charging enough money. You need to charge $2,000 a day, put the word executive leadership training, and they show up." It's true, isn't it? The point that he was making is that there are some leaders that feel like they've arrived. They have arrived. They've been here. They've been to leadership training. They don't need to come to this leadership training unless it's in Banff and we charge $2,000 and we call it executive. And then really it's just because it's in Banff, right? We don't arrive. Most of us are familiar with that age-old question. Are leaders born or are they made? And while there are certain traits and attributes that make it easier to lead, the reality is that leadership takes work. Leadership development is a lifelong process of continual education, reflection, thoughtful conversations about leadership issues.